Hey there, crafty friends. This is Kevin with Divinely Designed, and this is going to be a paper crafting video. What I thought I would do is make a Christmas card that's a box. Now, this actually unfolds and flattens out, and then you can use a belly band around it to hold it in place so you could actually mail it in an envelope, and when they open it and they take the belly band off, they unfold it and they have a box that has a message on it. So I actually got this idea because my company sent me sort of something, you know, for team building and whatever, and it was it came in the mail in an envelope, and this is what it was actually, but when you take it apart, it actually just sort of springs open and kind of becomes this box. Now, this is using some really, really thick laminated paper, and it had rubber bands inside of it. It was a little too strong for paper that I had. Now, I am using a really thick paper, and you do need a thick paper for this. I did do a prototype of it, and this is just using regular cardstock, which it works okay, but it's just, the cardstock is just a little too flimsy to use here. I mean, it works, but it doesn't hold its shape quite as well. Using a really thick cardstock makes this work very well. And then just decorated it up with some paper here. So we're going to go through that project. This is a project that will take a little bit of time, but I really I think it's super unusual and, you know, something that you would give to someone special probably for Christmas. So, okay, so for this project, now, for that box, what I used was some Stampin' Up! Products for the panels. This is the Merry Moments pattern pack, which uses Old Olive is the green in here. So I used some Old Olive card for the green panels in it. And you can see I cut them up and pasted them on there. I used a plain Old Olive panel for here with just a sentiment that I embossed. For this next one, I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Products also, but this one is called Timeless Elegance. So the pattern paper is, the colors from Stampin' Up! Are, I think it's Basic Black, Very Vanilla, and Sierra Sand. So I have a piece of their Sierra Sand and the pattern paper. But what you're going to need for this project is 2 pieces of 8.5 and 11 cardstock. That is a very heavy cardstock. Now I'm using this really beautiful metallic paper from the Rubber Cafe, and I actually don't know what the poundage is because it's not listed on here, but it's probably 120 or 140 pound paper, and it has this metallic sheen on it, and it's just gorgeous. I thought I would do sort of a little bit more non-traditional kind of colored card here. So 2 pieces, 2 8.5, 11 pieces of that cardstock, 1 other 8.5, 11 solid color, and then some pattern paper. Now this is a 12 by 12, but you won't need that much. If you had just an 8.5 by 11, that would work as well. A stamp set of your choice, or if you're going to emboss it, then some embossing, some dry adhesive, some wet adhesive, scissors, rulers, bone folder, an oval punch, and this is probably the only unusual thing, is this is some elastic cord. This is 1mm elastic cord that's very stretchy. The box requires that it has rubber bands or it has something stretchy in order to hold it together. Well, the one that got sent to me, like I mentioned before, is really thick laminated cardstock or paper of some kind, and it was actually held together by rubber bands. And when you open it, it actually like sort of springs together really fast. I found that those rubber bands in this project are just too strong. So I actually have another rubber band I tried. So I have some here. This is a kind of thicker one, and this is a thinner one, but both of these just were too tight for this cardstock that I'm using. So I decided to make my own rubber bands with this 1mm stretchy cord, which worked a lot better. It doesn't have quite as much strength, and doesn't beat up the paper as much. So, okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut out our panels. So we need, of the solid panels, we need 6 of them, and they are 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay? All right, now I need the pattern paper, and we need 4 panels of that are 3 by 3. So now we're going to leave 3 of these panels whole of the pattern paper, and 4 of the panels whole for the solid paper. For these other sheets that we have here, we are going to cut them into quadrants. So we want 4 triangles. Now you're going to take your pieces and put them together. So one of these cards you're going to leave blank, just put that to the side. These other 3, you're going to center your pattern on them and glue them down with dry adhesive. For the triangles, you're going to take 4 of them and put the pattern paper on it. And then the other 4, you're going to leave blank, just put them to the side. Okay, I'm going to speed this up and put these together with some dry adhesive. So we're going to take the plain panel and we're going to stamp our sentiment on it. I'm going to emboss mine. You could certainly just stamp it plain. That's fine. I'm going to emboss mine with some Ranger Liquid Platinum embossing powder. So that's the panels and all of our stamping that we'll need to do. Now we need to create the box shape itself. So for that, we're going to take our heavy cardstock, so our 2 sheets of heavy cardstock, and we need 4 panels that will all be the same. So the finished box ends up being 3 3/4 square. Each of the panels that you want to cut out are 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. So I'm going to turn it this way. Now we're going to do some scoring. For each of these sheets, what you want to score it on the long side is at the 1/2 inch mark. Oops, I forgot. I need to cut these. So at the 1/2 inch mark, and then turn it, and you're going to do at 3 3/4. Do that for all of them. So now we need to score from this corner to this corner. So you want to treat these panels all the same. They need to be identical. So hold it this way with the score, the 1/2 inch score on your left-hand side. You want to make a score from this corner to this corner. And you can either do that using a ruler or this is the Martha Stewart board. So they have a score tool here. I just want to line up my now we want to take we want to take a line. We don't need to score this, but from this corner to this corner now. So I'm going to take a ruler. And add a pencil line. Okay, now I took a 2-inch oval punch and I punched out just on a piece of scrap paper an oval, and I drew a line down the middle of it. Now this is a little tricky part here, but what you want to do is you want to line up this oval on this line here, okay? So the middle of my oval is lining up along this longer line here. The edge of my oval I want to meet at this score line, okay? I don't want it to go over. And what you want is not really an oval shape so much as a teardrop shape. This isn't a huge deal, but it's a little bit helpful. So take your oval and kind of rotate it maybe 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so then you'll have sort of a bigger piece up here, and so it becomes sort of like half of a teardrop, okay? And then I'm just going to trace. Now this is hard to see on this paper, I'm sure, but I'm just going to trace around that oval. Let me see if you can see there. Okay, and then we're going to cut along this line and around my oval shape, okay? Okay, so this is the part that's actually going to make sort of the locking mechanism, okay? All right, so while we're using this one sheet here, we're going to cut out some notches. And these can be pretty steep angles, but I want a notch from here, so to that corner. The same on the other side. And then in the middle here, we want to cut out okay. So your panel should look like this now, right? The little teardrop shape cut out, notches here and here. Now, you're going to take this and you're going to use it as your template for your other sheets. So we should have 4 identical panels, and it's important that they are identical because we're making a box, so we need everything to sort of line up and be perfect, okay? All right, so now we're going to do some scoring. I'm sorry, some burnishing. So again, keeping your panel like this with the 1/2 inch to the left, these tabs on this side, you want to burnish them, fold them in this way and burnish them, okay? So now this is nice, strong, thick paper, so you want to give it, you know, a good burnish. And then with these tabs up, you want to fold the top portion down and give that a good burnish. And this middle portion, you want to, if we're holding it this way again, so I want to pick this side up and I'm going to fold it in here like this, okay? Now later on we're going to fold it kind of the other way, so it doesn't really matter, but this is the easiest way to do it right now because it'll help assemble the box, okay? So that's how you should burnish it, okay? All right, so we're going to do that to the other panels. So you should have all 4 panels looking like this. Now, we're going to take 2 of them and we're going to adhere them together. And the shape that you want is, hold it like that, okay? So you're going to take your second one. This tab here, you want to attach to the bottom, or that's where it's going to line up. So you're going to have a shape that looks like this, okay? But where we're going to make the attachment right now is between these 2 tabs here, okay? So put your 2 pieces of paper together like this, but don't adhere this portion yet. The 2 that you want to adhere are these 2. They go together like this, okay? And you're going to want to use a strong, I say liquid adhesive here. You could try a dry adhesive. I wouldn't recommend it, but you want a nice strong adhesive, and when you do this, make sure that you are lining up the edges of your box, okay? This joint that's right here is important because it's where eventually the rubber bands will attach. So we want this to be strong. So I'm going to use a liquid adhesive. This is also a glue I got from the Rubber Cafe, and it dries really clear and it's nice and strong. You could use your favorite. Now pay attention here also to getting the glue very close to the edge. We want a nice strong bond, and because this is going to make a corner of the box, we want it to be fully glued at the edges. Okay, so we're going to line that up and push it together. I'm making sure my line is nice and straight here. Okay, do that to the other panel and then let these, let them set for a minute till they're holding and not sliding anywhere. I have this edge. This is the glued edge on the what will be the outside of the box. So again, I'm pressing down, making sure that edge is really adhered very well, because eventually it will be like this, and you don't want to have any gaps or openings there. It will make the box not look as good. Okay, so now now this is one half of the box that we will eventually glue to the other half, but before we do that, we're going to put our panels on, so it's easier to do it kind of now. For the larger panels, they go here. one of them, and it doesn't matter which one you choose, can be your sentiment one, okay? But it doesn't matter which panel you choose. And then for these, what you're going to do is take one pattern piece and one non-pattern piece and put them up here. Now, on each panel that you're using, just keep it the same. So if you put a piece of pattern paper on the quarter, the triangle with the teardrop, you're going to put a piece of pattern paper on all of them that have the little teardrop shape on it, okay? Just keep it exactly the same on all the panels that you go to. And that way, when it's finished, you'll have alternating panels that are patterned and solid. So this is half of the box, right? Now, the corner that it's going to make is this tab is actually eventually going to get glued or adhered to this corner here. Same with this one, okay? So that will be one corner of the box, and then the other one will match up with it. But before we adhere them down, we need to create the mechanism that will hold it together. And we're going to do that on this tab here, that one that I said, make sure it's glued really well and it's done very good because it needs to be strong and adhered well. Now what we want to do is make a shape that is going to hold our elastic in place. So I hope I can get this on camera here. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to start just slightly away from the corner, and I'm going to cut toward this side in here, but not at a harsh angle, at a very gentle angle, and I'm going to cut down about, let's measure that and see what that is. So about 5/8 of an inch, okay? And then I'm going to move down this edge just a tiny bit. I'm going to cut to meet that point there. I'm going to cut a wedge out. Okay? So the wedge is kind of shallow, and it's pointing slightly that way. Now I want to cut out a little tiny divot . Okay, so that's the shape we should end up with, because the rubber band is going to stay in there and not easily come out. Okay, so we want this angle to hold the rubber band in place. All right, so let's do it one more time. Starting right at the corner, move just away from the corner, cut in at an angle, not a really strong angle, just a slight angle, about 5/8 of an inch, and then moving down further, cut out the wedge. Okay, clean that up if you need to. And then we're going to cut a little divot out here. Okay, so they don't need to be exactly symmetrical, but this is the shape that you want. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same thing to the other side. So now we're going to assemble our box. So we need to glue these halves together, and for this you can use dry adhesive. So the adhesive goes on the tabs on the side, on the good side of the box here. So Again, make sure you're getting adhesive kind of all the way to the ends, because that will help your box stay together. Okay, so this tab goes to this side here. So you just want to make a nice straight edge that is nice and square. So I prefer to sort of do it from the outside so I can look and make sure I have done a nice square job. And then turn to the inside and take my bone folder and give that a nice rub so we get a nice strong contact between the paper. Okay, same thing here. Bend it in. Make my nice straight square edge, making sure I line up the outside. And then turn it inside and give that a good rub. Okay, let's do the same to the other side. Okay, so we have two halves of our box, right? And they're going to go together. I just want to make sure I get the patterns lined up so they're going the same way if I can. Okay. And they will fit together like this. The tabs will sort of slide underneath each other. And that's how the box will be together, right? Now we need to put the elastic in place. You can try a rubber band if you like. I took that 1mm elastic and I've just created my own elastic bands. Now the length I did was about, twice the length of a side here, and then I just tied them together with a knot. So this is probably the hardest part of this box. And I have fat fingers, and that's probably why it's hard for me. So we want to take the elastic, and you're going to hook it over. Now this part is usually not hard because it's the first one. Okay, so that's where that shape comes into play, because we want the elastic to stay there and not be able to escape. So we want to add that to both sides. And you may need to use a tweezer to help here. Usually this first side is easy. Okay, so I have them both attached there. Now what I have found is easiest is this can sort of fit inside here with a little, okay? That will give you a lot of leeway in terms of being able to put these on, and then you'll just have to finagle with it using like tweezers or a little pokey tool. And this may be hard to see. Let me see if okay, so once they're hooked, then all you need to do is sort of slide it into place. Now, if the shape isn't right on the top, you can, this isn't that bad actually, you can take these tops and fold them the other way. Do a mountain fold with them. We did a valley fold before. Do a mountain fold with them, and that will help them sort of keep their box-like shape, okay? So we have our box like this. The last thing we need to do is just create our little belly band. So that piece that we had left over, just take 1/4 of an inch. My little dots here are 1/4 of an inch.